Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show. Before the free show, what are you looking at over there?
Internet stuff.
Pictures.
I'm Greg. That's Greg. We're the Gregs.
What's up?
Oh, God. That was so cringeworthy.
Welcome in to the pre-show
That's not
before the free
true.
show.
Greg's not a cringeworthy name.
No, Greg's a good name. Okay. Can I have a moment to rant? That's the wrong password.
Sure. Let me solo you up
hi.
here.
Hello.
You're kind of crooked.
Golly.
Wrong way.
All unsorted. Okay. So yesterday, because we're not going to talk about this on the show, last night was the unveiling of the first college football playoff rankings of the week. Did you see this? Did you hear about this, Kev?
Sure
Did you
did.
hear about this? And the rankings came out, and this is going to surprise you, but the rankings, from a football perspective, are terrible. They're very bad. Some of the reasons that they're very bad is, of one thing. I think a lot of the focus of my rant today is going to be on Cincinnati, but I think that it's pretty silly that UTSA is not in the top 25. I think they're 8-0. I think they've done literally everything you could ask of them, and they're not ranked. But I think that it's important to remember that this is not that the people on this committee who select the college football playoff are not football people. They are not making football decisions. Maybe they were involved in football at some point, but they are functionally television executives. They are creating a television product. They are not making football decisions. They are making television decisions. They're making money decisions. Money line go up and all of that. So that brings us to Cincinnati, who's ranked 6th. Undefeated Cincinnati, who's ranked 6th. And they're toast. They're toast. They're not getting in the playoff. They're not. And there's a couple of reasons why. One, by starting at 6, they would have to leapfrog at least 2 teams to get in, and that's just not going to happen. Especially not going to happen because their strength of schedule is not very good. And here's what I mean by that. They are still going to play SMU. They're still going to play Houston, right? Do they get SMU this year?
They do.
They play SMU. They're going to get Houston in the AAC championship game. And neither of those teams are ranked. Do you know why, even though I think Houston may have a claim for being one of the 25 best teams in the country, why they're not ranked? Because if they were ranked and Cincinnati beat them, that would be a ranked win. And we can't be having that. We can't be having that. Here's my problem. My problem with the playoff is not that they are doing it like this. My problem with the playoff is that they're lying to you. And they're not being honest. It would be much better. I would feel much better about this if they were to come out, if Gary Barta, who's the chair of the committee, were to come out and say, you know what, guys, group of 5 teams are ineligible for the national championship. Sorry. It would stink, but it would be at least honest. Because that's what's happening here. In fact, Chris Vanini of The Athletic asked Gary Barta back in December. The question was, can a group of 5 team ever make the playoff? Gary Barta, yes, they can. Question, how? Barta, their body of work will be evaluated alongside the group that gets in the top 4 every year. Every year is unique, blah, 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 blah. I look at, and I know BYU is not a group of 5 team, or they're an independent, but I look at their schedule they had, and they were scheduled to play 5 Power 5 teams on the schedule. Powers, let me ask you a question. If you are in a group of 5 conference, how can you schedule 5 Power 5 teams?
Cannot.
You are functionally saying that they are ineligible, that group of 5 teams are ineligible for the playoff.
I believe, reading between the lines of that statement that you just made about BYU, means Notre Dame can get in the playoff.
Oh, that's the thing.
Not really BYU.
Right.
We can't say Notre Dame.
No.
But we can say BYU. But really, that means Notre Dame can get in the playoff if they lose one game.
They're the only team in a non-Power 5 conference that is eligible for the playoff. Because everyone else, Houston, you're never making the playoff. And by the way, expanding this is not going to change the problem. They're just going to go from having 4 Power 5 teams to 11 Power 5 teams and one Group of 5 team that will tussle their hair and say, look how progressive we are. It is a joke. And the committee, who, by the way, they meet in Grapevine down the road. We can go and talk to them if we would like. The committee, we need to use the words that matter. And the word is corrupt. It is a corrupt organization. It is a corrupt group of people. It is a corrupt process. And it is functionally excluding a majority of teams from being eligible for the playoff. I don't think that UTSA should play for the national championship. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we should be honest with ourselves and say, you know what? Group of 5 teams are just not going to make it. Don't pee on my leg and tell me that it's raining. I was furious last night. And I don't know why, because I knew it was coming, and I need to be smarter. I need to learn things, actually, instead of just going through life and expecting these wonderful, unexpected things to happen. But instead, I'm super naive. And I thought that a group of football people would come up with a decision that would be equitable for the best teams in the country. But instead, I forgot that they are not football people. They're television people.
There were some surprises to me, too. I think the biggest one, just looking at it, everybody's going to point to Cincinnati and say, hey, what's wrong with this picture? Mm-hmm. But a one-loss Michigan team being in front of an undefeated Oklahoma team,
unbelievable.
That's really, to me, that was like.
Alabama is second. Alabama. What that means, Texas A&M, what that means is that your game against Alabama was meaningless. That's what it means. It was meaningless. Because here's the thing.
We might be getting trolled on these.
Let me ask you a question. Let's reverse that score. What was it, 41-34? Was that the final of the around there, right? They won by, or no, they kicked a field goal. 41-38. 41-38. A&M beat Alabama. Let's reverse that score. Let's say Alabama kicks the field goal. Whoo, wipe the brow, stuff like that. Where is Alabama ranked in these rankings?
1.
Are they?
Maybe.
Or are they 2?
Yeah, I think they'll be 1. I think they'd be 1.
Maybe they'd be 1. Maybe they'd be 2. Regardless, they would be in the top 2. It is functionally irrelevant. A&M, your win was irrelevant. That is what the committee is telling you. And A&M fans should be mad. I know they're 15th or whatever, or wherever they ended up ranked.
14th.
14th. Good for them. Awesome. They should be mad because their signature victory had no impact. None. It is a joke. It is a joke, and you know what you should do? You should vote with your remote. When the college football play, because if it's a television product, that's what they're going to respond to. I'm not saying to go find an illegal stream of the game to watch whenever it rolls around, but it can't get rated that way.
Iowa in the top 25 coming off a total
disgusting
of back-to-back losses 51-14.
A disgusting night for college football. If you care about college football, last night was a disgusting night. Congratulations to Gabe Brooks and the Braves. Hit the theme, Expo. Pickle! Hit the arrow sign. Yes, yo! From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, it is Texas Football Today, a show on the internet. My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football magazine, texasfootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live on texasfootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, or listening to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm today. She's DJ Duchess of the Dorks. She's Ashley Pickle. You wrote that new theme song, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, I spun some beats.
You know what's funny? You know that. Just go with it. You know it's Greg Powers here. Greg Powers next level athlete.
What's up, y'all?
I don't know if
about
you know this, but the new trend in DJs. I don't think it's new. It's been around for a while. But think about like Deadmau5, and you think about Marshmello, and you think about Daft Punk.
Yeah.
You ever seen any of their faces?
No, because they wear the.
They all wear
like,
the headgear.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying.
Are you trying to tell me that I need to wear headgear?
No.
Is this an ugly thing?
No.
Is this a face for radio
No.
thing?
What I'm saying is I've never seen you and Marshmello in the same room at the same time. Right?
It's like the new school Hannah Montana.
I get what you're
I
saying.
don't get that. What's
You went to a dark place, Pickle, but he was just trying to give you.
I was trying to give you a compliment. I was
like, dude, if I look that bad today, like,
No.
just tell me.
No,
You ain't got to bring it on air.
No, I was
Say like-
I was accusing you of being world-renowned DJ Deadmau5.
I was like, yeah.
Is what I was. You wear the big mouse
Yeah.
helmet.
I was like, man, I'm getting my hair done tomorrow. It'll be better, okay?
No, that had nothing to do with your look. You be DJ Baghead.
Yeah. Just a paper sack
be-
with the eyes
You
cut
be
out.
DJ Lions fan.
And-
You know what I mean? Today is Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021. 22 days until Thanksgiving. Guys, 3 weeks from tomorrow. 3 weeks from tomorrow. Public service announcement.
Woo.
Happy birthday. Whose birthday is it?
Colin Kaepernick.
Colin Kaepernick and Kendall Jenner, right?
Kendall Jenner.
Kendall Jenner and Colin Kaepernick. Happy
There we go.
birthday to
Happy
them.
birthday.
Today's episode 1274. On today's show, guys, we've got Greg Powers in the studio. We're going to talk This Week in Recruiting, all things recruiting across the Lone Star State. And then back half of the show, yesterday. Okay.
Yeah, we got it.
All right.
This comes with
yesterday,
an
it does. Yesterday, Cory Hogue, our small college insider, was in here, and we recorded it before the show. 11:15ish? About 11:15?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yesterday. Literally at like noon was when reports started trickling out that Sam Houston State was going to join the WAC.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? No, Sam Houston State was going to join the Conference USA. And like Incarnate Word was going to move around, like all this realignment news in the small college ranks. So the conversation we have is reflective of a reality that no longer exists.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear about that. But let's talk small college football, including.
I was going to say
the
it's
big games
kind of
this week.
cool to see that though, of like what the train of thought process was before we started adding
Yes.
other teams.
Right. Other things. So
Yeah.
there you go.
On that note, the FBS signees from Texas is about to go up by about 100
Is that right?
every year because these teams are moving
That's
to
true.
FBS. You know,
Yeah.
so we're gonna
We were
dwarf over every other.
so when we were
state.
talking about it. It's funny we were talking about it in our Slack. We're gonna have to add pages to the magazine. Like
Yeah.
for example, like A&M Commerce, because they're moving up to Division One.
Mhm.
Every FBS team
Gets a full
gets a full page. So instead of being part of the Lone Star Conference preview, they'll have their own page. If Sam Houston State Sam Houston, I should say, if Sam Houston is indeed moving to FBS, they will get 5 pages in the magazine.
I never even thought about the expanded coverage of
And God,
now
And what's
FBS
so-
teams
Yeah.
with recruiting profiles now on the
Mhm.
site. That's
What's
gonna
so
be another
crazy is
100
you think
profiles.
about like Central Florida is joining the Big 12. Like we have to talk about them now too. Like I'll have to reach out to their SID and get pictures. And
Yeah.
like that's what's crazy is like all these out-of-state teams that get to join the conferences.
yeah, I know. It's going to be wild. It's a wild, wild west. Now, it probably is not all starting next year. It may be starting in a couple of years, but in any case, it'll be something we have to adjust to. Ashley,
Oh, that was weird. Am I in trouble?
did I literally just said your name.
I know. I don't think you've ever. Anyway, continue.
Do we have first 4 through the door?
We sure do. It was Coach Terry Crawford, Rob Hadaway.
Excuse me. Say that first one again.
Coach Terry Crawford,
That's 9-0 Abbott Panthers.
Rob Hadaway, Hector Rios, and Ryan Smigo. Welcome in, fellas.
Welcome in, friends. It's time to get down to business. I'm Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers, and this is This Week in Cruton. I don't know why it was so intense. It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter, Next Level D1. See his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. Hey, Pickle, I got your email. Should I click on it?
I was hacked.
Oh,
It's been a day.
No, Pickle. It's This Week in Recruiting. Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at Next Level D1. See his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. And of course, this segment, let me cheer Pickle up.
Yeah.
This segment is brought to you by our good chicken friends at Chicken Express. Chicken Express, it always makes our producer smile.
That's 100% true.
That's
That
a
is-
verifiable fact.
Yeah.
Like, We were like last time you and I went to Chicken Express together was on
our way back from 7
Yeah, I don't
on
remember
7.
what town it was.
Oh, I know, and that stinks because they had the cool Chicken Express hats with the name of the
I know.
where it was the Speed Trap town.
one of the speed traps. Love you on the way back from College Station. But we stopped there and I got to tell you, that was about as happy as I've ever seen Pickle.
It's a dreary day across the state of Texas today, and nothing will warm you up from the inside out like some Chicken Express.
This guy, he gets it.
Maybe I'll get that for lunch. Turn this day around.
Turn this day around. Yeah, you really can. It's This Week in Recruiting. Greg Powers next. A lot to get to. Our prospect on the rise, we start with, in Houston, A-Leaf Taylor 2022 wide receiver Tyler King. He picked up an offer from Indiana. He is still committed to Texas Tech. This is a guy that I know has offers from places like Houston, UTSA, Memphis, etc. He picked up another Power 5 offer from Indiana this week. Big-time speedster. And I imagine the reason that we're talking about Tyler King is there may be maybe a thought that because of the coaching flux in Lubbock, that his recruiting could be more open than otherwise thought.
This is one of those guys, as we compile the DCTF Rising magazine, we have a chance to watch about over 450 new highlight tapes. And it's the end of the season where all these, 2021 tapes are being made available. And you can see right there, 4.2840, 10.21, 100-meter speed, 20.74, 200-meter speed. Tyler King could or should lay claim as to possibly being the fastest player in the state of Texas. I've got 3 guys who I think could be the fastest in the class of 2022. Brennan Thompson, Major Everhart, and Tyler King.
Yeah.
And his offer list, to me, is pretty good. You see a lot of teams in here. Houston, UTSA is undefeated. Memphis is having a really good season. He's committed to Texas Tech. He's going to play in the Power 5 level at worst, right? Like FBS level at worst. But he's one who I think could really take off, as there are possibly whispers that he could be taking a look around, and Indiana maybe could get the ball rolling on a lot of other offers. TCU's had some recent decommitments. We'll talk about that later. But there's going to be some movement, and this is the month. November is the month that the colleges try to shake out their recruiting classes, especially the first 2 weeks of November, because by the third week of November, you're starting to get your signing packet, and they're trying to lock down the time and plan for National Signing Day, which happens just past the second week of December around state championship time in Texas. Well, they try to get everything locked in November so that they can plan for that. When is the coach going to have his signing day conference? What time are you going to send in your letter of intent so we can make the announcement and get the graphic ready? There's a lot more detail put into this early signing period than there used to be 5 years ago. So a lot of I's got to be dotted and T's have to be crossed. And I think over the next couple of weeks that Tyler King is one of those guys that could really see his attention spike.
Watching these highlights from Tyler King, I'm struck by 2 things. One, so he's listed at 5'10", 160. I have to imagine if he was 5'11", 180, he might be going nutso, and everybody in America would be after him. I think that's part of it. The other thing about him that I think is amazing is every pass that's been thrown to him has been like 45 yards down it's just nothing but deep shots. Like, here comes another one. Watch.
Well, I mean, when
Here
you
it
have
comes.
that type of speed, you're just running past.
And
he's
he's gone.
running past you.
Just go routes. Anyway, Tyler King from A-Leaf Taylor. Certainly we'll keep an eye on what's going on there.
Thanks, Indiana, for making that offer, because this was a guy I wanted to talk about.
Perfect.
So the
Hey.
timing worked out great.
Good job, Hoosiers. Well done. Let's go to our commit of the week. Our commit of the week is might as well be the flip of the week.
Yep.
The flip of the week. Katy wide receiver Nicholas Anderson. He has flipped his commitment. He's a 4-star prospect, number 47 in the DCTF Hot 100. He was committed to Oregon. He is now committed to the alma mater of his older brother Rodney, which is Oklahoma. They are able to flip the kid from Ducks to Sooners up there in Norman.
The number 8 rated Sooners.
Yes.
The number 8 rated Sooners.
Don't give me. You gotta stop.
On the flip side of what we just talked about, Tyler King, this week's recruiting notebook could be the wide receiver recruiting notebook, by the way, because everybody in it is a wide receiver.
Spoiler alert.
Anderson has the size and power to be that deep vertical threat consistently. And to me, emergence in the Katy offense over the past few seasons has taken them from what I traditionally think of as like a power run attack. I know that they still are a power run attack team, but he gives them a different look to me. And that's what makes the Katy teams that he's played on special. He gives them a different wrinkle, a different element. You can't just stack the box all the time. You almost have to bracket him to try to slow him down. And if you do that, then that takes someone out of the box, and that makes the Katy offense even more dangerous. And he has as you touched on it, he has the lineage. His brother Rodney played at Oklahoma, and his other brother is Ryder Anderson, who's now at Indiana. So he has he knows what it takes to be successful in college. Let's say that.
It's funny because you mentioned Katie's offense, and I think you're right. The idea is that here is a guy, he plays in an offense that is going to run the ball most of the time. And that is true. They are functionally, if you ask Gary Joseph, what is your offense about? They are running the ball. But here's the thing about him is they're still throwing the ball. And when they're throwing the ball out of play action. And so he's getting that experience of running what it's going to be like in a more traditional quote-unquote spread offense, right? In the sense that the timing routes, the understanding of what they're going to be, just because this is not like, I hate to say it, but like if you're a wide receiver on a slot T, that's a lot harder to get some good tape out there.
Right.
Instead, Nicholas Anderson is a guy who certainly has good tape out there, and these are the kinds of plays that are going to translate to the next level. That route right there is a route you're going to run 100,000 times in college. That's what they're going up against.
Caleb Williams is going to like this guy. I mean, He is a bigger-bodied, long wide receiver who runs good routes and can get open in what you're seeing here in a lot of two wide receiver sets out of the I formation. OU is going to spread the ball out a little bit more, and he's going to have more opportunity even than he has in high school.
We're talking This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, the next level athlete here on Texas Football Today. Get involved with the conversation at #TF Today. Let's get into our underclassmen of the week. Our underclassmen of the week, let's go to DFW. To Arlington Sam Houston to talk about their 2023 junior jumbo wide receiver, tight end wide receiver. You know what I mean? You guys know what I'm talking about.
Jumbo wide receiver is a good one.
What is Rob Gronkowski?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, he's deemed a tight end, but he's
a
not
tight
a
end.
tight end.
Gronk.
Yeah, he's Gronk. He's a jumbo. He's a jumbo wide receiver. Lafayette Kiowa is he picked up an offer this week from Texas. He already has offers from places like SMU, Kansas, and Boston College. Just 6'4", 190. Probably want to beef him up just a little bit before he gets to the next level. But for a junior and a guy with that kind of size, that's the kind of guy that all these offenses are looking for, right? They're looking for a big dude who can run.
Yeah, and I would say just watching his 2021 tape, he may be like up to 210 now. They did a little bit more work with him as an inline player on this year's tape, which he played more of a wide receiver role as a sophomore, but now he's starting to grow. And you can see here on this first clip what I'm talking about. He's a true red zone threat. Long arms, can go up and high point the football. But what I loved about just kind of breaking down him over the last couple seasons, when he was flexed out wide as a wide receiver, he is a dude who will block his A off. I mean, he really took it seriously, and I think that's what started to get him on some of these college radars early, because he was bigger framed and doesn't necessarily have, the intangibles are close to the same for him and Nicholas Anderson, right? They're both listed at 6'4", 190. Kiowa didn't have the same type of top-end speed, so he's going to bulk up and probably be more of one of these flex options that will present a lot of mismatch trouble for college defenses. And there are a lot of these guys who are highly coveted right now in today's college game. You can get that smaller, quicker slot wide receiver, but you can also go after a guy like this who is going to present a mismatch body-wise. He's going to understand how to use his length and his size to outposition linebackers and pick up key first downs and make plays, around the goal line.
Yeah, it's a guy that we're going to get to know. And, Sam Houston's a program, I think they kind of get lost in the shuffle there in Arlington ISD, because there's so many programs that put out big-time prospects. Martin kind of first and foremost, but Arlington High and Lamar and all these places put out big-time prospects. Maybe Sam Houston gets lost in the mix, but you need to know about Lafayette Kiowa, the junior wide receiver, tight end, kind of jumbo wide receiver out there. Let's round it all start out with our recruit of the week. Our recruit of the week is Klein Kane wide receiver Matthew Golden. We're talking about Matthew Golden because he's a very good player, and he's excellent. He's a 4-star DCTF 4-star, number 38 in the DCTF Hot 100. We're talking about him most notably because he has decommitted. He was committed to TCU. He's now opened his recruitment back up, and afterwards, he got offers from Texas and Minnesota. He's already got offers from places like SMU, Houston, UTSA, Arkansas, etc., Cincinnati. I guess this is as good of an excuse as any to talk about what the Gary Patterson departure at TCU is going to do to their recruiting. They've got a small, but I would say pretty decent class put together right now as far as commitments are concerned. Guys like Jalen Gilbo, guys like DJ Allen. They lose Matthew Golden. Feels like what they need. It is imperative for whoever comes in to hold this thing together as best they can. But certainly losing a guy like Matthew Golden is going to hurt TCU.
One thing that, looking at TCU's recruiting class currently, you mentioned some of the top guys, with Jalen Gilbo and DJ Allen still on the commitment list. DJ Allen is one who said that he is still committed, but he's now looking around. So I don't really know how seriously you can
you wonder if
say that he's committed.
First drop in a rainstorm.
Matthew Golden was the highest rated of the bunch, right there on the offensive side of the ball, right there with Gilbo as being the marquee defensive name. And Texas wasted little time throwing their hat in the ring for Golden, who, as a matter of fact, earned that 4-star after we watched him play at the Texas State 7-on-7.
Mm-hmm.
I
remember
he showed
that.
his ability to, at 6 foot, 190 pounds, this guy catches everything. Anything that's in the vicinity, he is going to catch it.
I think I was sitting with you when you turned to me and you said, we're going to make him a 4-star.
Yeah, we did that day. We made him a 4-star, right?
Yeah,
there.
like right there, it's like he's a 4-star.
So I love his game, and the thing that really jumps out to me, and this is something that SMU fans are getting to know about Dylan Goffney last year, is I think the most overlooked thing when you break down high school film, because a lot of these players are dominant at their level, right?
Mm-hmm.
He might be the best player in Klein. He is the best player in his city, and it jumps out on tape. But his hands are remarkable. And that will serve him well, not only transitioning to college, but if he ever has an NFL future, that's something that, that he has to have. You can't make drops once you get to the league, and he catches everything. Now, what's going to happen at TCU, that's a whole different conversation. It's really interesting looking at this class because they have guys, they have about 5 or 6 guys who everybody's going to want, right? And it'll be interesting to see who they hire because those 5 or 6 guys that coach is going to want. But Gary Patterson and his staff at TCU took such a unique approach to the recruiting process in general. They recruited unlike any other team that I've ever covered. They really weren't afraid to make offers to under the radar guys or go into unique areas into Louisiana to find what they would consider hidden gems. And how will the new coach, once he's named there, attack the recruiting process at TCU? I think that you have to be creative there.
Here's a perfect. The guy that I think recently, I guess recent is certainly a word. The guy who may encapsulate that of the way that they recruited, the guy I keep going back to is L.J. Collier.
Yeah,
L.J. Collier was the defensive end at Monday, tiny 2A Division two, player. He's now in the NFL, and those were the types of guys that Gary Patterson and that staff made hay on and got to, those are the guys that ended up kind of boosting that program to the heights that it is right now. And so now, what are they? Who are they going to bring in? I know that the name Jeff Traylor is going to be kicked around. Obviously, what he's doing there in UTSA. I had a friend, my brother. Okay, I'll just call it my brother. My brother is a tech grad. And so he's of course very concerned about who they're going to hire. And he asked me, he goes, let me ask you something about Jeff Traylor. Is Jeff Traylor, would him going over to West Texas impact his ability? Is his appeal regional in the sense that he's doing it in San Antonio, he's got of course great ties in East Texas and the Houston area, et cetera, et cetera. Is his appeal regional? To which I replied, I was like, no, I think it's the entire state. I think that he's a guy who can recruit the entire state and do it well. But that is, I know things a lot of people are asking about, who people are going to hire. Sonny Dykes is getting name kicked around a lot. I think these are guys who can recruit the whole state. It just may be different as far as whoever ends up at TCU. It's just going to be a different kind of look. Excuse me, my goodness. I was brewing for a minute. It's just going to be different to whoever comes in is going to put their own stamp on TCU recruiting, and it's going to be different from what Gary Patterson did.
Yeah, I do believe that. This is an intriguing one to me because I know that Gary Patterson has went in and got some big wins on the recruiting trail. Mm-hmm. They've gotten some 4-star guys. They've gotten, Duggan was a huge national victory. Mm-hmm. This is a guy who had offers from a lot of schools, and he was convinced to TCU. And one thing that I found out over the last few years with talking with other coaches and coaches on the TCU staff is something that I found to be eye-opening, and it's this. TCU kind of feels like at times in recruiting in the state of Texas that they're just another school. Mm-hmm. But national recruits and recruits from other states view them at a better level than what maybe some of the in-state programs and recruits would look at them in because they're always rated usually in the top 25. So they have a more national appeal than what we probably give them credit for from the inside looking out. From the outside looking in, a lot of these players and schools look at them as a perennial top 25 team most years that has a national appeal. Mm-hmm. And that's why they started to take a more outward look to recruiting in recent years because they felt like they could go out into some of these other areas and entice some of these top recruits to come to Fort Worth. Mm-hmm. They're getting the new stadium rehaul. But I do think like UTSA, which has put an investment now into making their facilities better, that TCU does have some work to do with some of their facilities for that new staff. They did do the stadium overhaul, but their locker rooms, some of their facilities, if they get that investment, will help them continue to be a force in recruiting top talent to Fort Worth.
A guy who is always a force in recruiting. It's Greg Powers, the Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter, GPowerScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter, Next Level D1. See his fine work at texasfootball.com/recruiting. You're not introducing the next segment, so I guess you can leave if you want, but, you can just hang out.
I'm interested to hear what he's saying about these small schools.
Yeah. We're Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com, TexasFootball.com, where you can find complete coverage of high school football, college football, and recruiting all across the Lone Star State. And now, a word from our friends at Hometown Ticketing. Fast scans, happy fans. Hometown Ticketing is proud to be the official digital ticketing solution of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Simplify your school's ticketing with Hometown, providing schools nationwide with the best options for digital ticketings for their events. Visit their website at hometownticketing.com to learn how they can make digital ticketing possible at your school. That's hometownticketing.com. Yesterday, our good buddy Cory Hogue, our small college insider here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football, stopped by to talk a little bit of small college football, big games this week and on the horizon. We talk a little bit of realignment. Remember, this was before the latest news.
Yeah.
So, by the way, during this, while this interview is playing, and it's 8 minutes or so.
Yeah.
While that's happening, 3 more teams are going to change conferences. So just know that it's just going to happen inevitably. Anyway, here's our conversation with small college insider Cory Hogue here on Texas Football Today.
The college football season rolls on here in the state of Texas, and nobody covers small college football in the state of Texas like our own small college insider Cory Hogue, who joins us in studio. Welcome in, buddy.
It is great to finally be back in studio.
It's been a minute.
It has been a while.
It's been a second. All right, I want to talk big picture and then narrow it down. So let's talk big picture. Last time we were really talking in earnest about small college football. On this program, we were talking with Texas A&M Commerce, athletic director Tim McMurray, who is in here celebrating their big announcement. They're moving to the Division I, leaving the Lone Star Conference to move up to Division I. Let's talk about the other side of that. Where does that leave the Lone Star Conference as far as realignment is concerned?
It's all up in the air right now. No one really knows what's going to happen. We know that the WAC is still not settled now because Sam Houston is reportedly moving up to Conference USA, and Brett McMurphy saying by the end of the week. And I'm not even able to get confirmation on that. That stuff is really hidden right now. So that could leave the Lone Star Conference in even more flux. And honestly, some of the schools either need to jump on that FCS bandwagon or get off, because I don't see the Lone Star Conference surviving this unless they change a division somewhere.
The last time you and I saw each other was at Lone Star Conference Media Days, and we had a conversation about that, about how it felt like there were tremors of change there in the Lone Star Conference, and it feels like, A&M Commerce may just be the first of a number of moves that may reshape exactly what the Lone Star Conference looks like. I mean, I hate to say it because we love our friends at the LSC, but if it exists into perpetuity at all.
And it really started with Tarleton. When Tarleton left, they were looking and searching to see who to bring in. They didn't find anyone just yet, and so now with Commerce leaving, it's really another big and then, of course, WT is being courted. MSU is being courted. There's possibilities of UTPB being courted as well. And any of these teams that stay D2 may end up having to go to like the RMAC. Because really the only possible expansion opportunities are down in NAI with Texas Wesleyan and Wayland Baptist and SAGU and some of those. And the desire to be at that level, it just doesn't seem to be lined up right now. That to me is the biggest question, is where does the conference want to align? And how can they find anyone to be with them?
So let's focus now, let's shift the focus now to on the field, what we've seen on the field. It strikes me that at the FCS ranks, as far as favorites are concerned, we thought it would be Sam Houston. They're looking the part. Yeah. Division III, we thought it would be Mary Hardin, Baylor, and Hardin Simmons in some sort of order. It's been there. Division II is where you've had a little bit of chaos, a little bit of shakeup. Midwestern State rising to the top. So I guess my question is, when you take a look at the whole landscape of small college football, is it fair to say that most of the favorites have so far lived up to their billing?
They have. Sam Houston's still number one. They're rolling every week. It's almost a machine what the Bearcats are doing, just every week dismantling people and taking their will away and then backing off the gas and resting guys. What they do is just incredible. UIW this week, they have this week will determine their playoff fate. They either win the Southland to get in or they're out. And one more loss, they're out, because they've already got 2 losses this year. So they're playing Southeastern Louisiana. They're at home. This is a must-win game for the Cardinals. Midwestern State, they win 2 more, they're the champions. Yeah. And they're going to be in the regional playoffs. They will probably move up from number 4 where they were yesterday up to number 3 or 2 even possibly, host a game. But the question on that is, can they get through this week? They've got West Texas A&M. They do not play well in Canyon. Canyon has owned the Mustangs. And then they come home and they have UT Purvey and Mason. And we know there's a rivalry from Media Day really building up there. And I still hear it from both sides. That's going to be just a heck of a game to try to get through. So there's a lot of questions there. And Commerce still controls there. If they beat Angelo State this weekend, they travel to Angelo. That's another playoff game. The winner still has a chance. The loser is eliminated. Although Commerce is going to have a tough time. They've got 3 Division II losses. That's hard to make the playoffs.
So those are the favorites. What about the surprises? Who are the teams that, I know you spent the whole offseason thinking about these teams. It's a bit of a shorter offseason for some than others. But which teams have overachieved in your mind so far this season?
I think Midwestern State. That's the number 1 team that has. The other one is Texas Wesleyan, dropping down to NAI. Man, what they do, what Jake Prudhomme has done with that place, 5 years.
They can score.
Yes, and they can play defense. In 5 years, he has resurrected that program, and they are going to new heights. They're a danger. They play Langston in a couple weeks. It would not surprise me to see them beat Langston. They don't have a shot at the playoffs this year because it's really hard to get into NAIA playoffs. And then another one, Howard Payne. Bellhaven got them. Hardin Simmons got them. Mary Hardin Baylor will get them this week. But that's the top level of the ASC right now. And for what Jason Bachtel has done there to get them up there, and it started before him too, because that program was started on the rise, but he's taken it and just shot off into a new level. they're starting to develop some rivalries.
Yeah, especially considering where they were to where they were expected to be to where they are now. I would say certainly Howard Payne. I think Prairie View's been a really nice surprise. That was a team that maybe from the outset we thought maybe a sleeper there in the SWAC, and now undefeated in SWAC play. Still got some big games down the road, but looking very good. Texas Southern too. I mean, we got to give some shout out to them because they've been. I mean, God bless them. They've been really bad for a long time. Now they're, they got Andrew Body in there and they're cooking a little bit.
Well, and with Prairie View, they were one of those teams I wasn't sure of. They were good. Eric Dooley's a great coach, and he's done great things with them. But in the spring, they were not as good. But it looks like that was kind of building for the fall and what they've done this year. They're the favorites. They are now the favorites to be in the SWAC title game. They've got to be the favorite to beat Alcorn. There's no reason not to. And then what Texas Southern just needed a win.
Yeah.
That was all they needed. And they got that win, and they put up 59 last week. This team is incredible. And I knew Clarence McKinney would do well. He was really focusing on Houston, which I think you have to at Texas Southern. But man, that one win is all he needed, and that team, the confidence just shot up.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot for one last question, which is, right now, I want to hear your top 3 of who would be in the running for the Small College Player of the Year in Texas, okay? And there's a lot. I mean, here's the thing. I know I'm putting you on the spot. This is not fair. I want to recognize that. But I want to hear maybe a top 2, top 3. Who are the guys that immediately spring to mind and be like, they got to be on that short list of Texas College Football Player of the Year?
I think you got to start with Eric Schmid. But then Sam Houston has a group, Ramon Jefferson. And I mean, Ezra hasn't had the greatest, but he's been injured some. Goodness gracious, Cam Ward at UIW, how good he has been. You drop down to Division II, Kylan Harrison at MSU has just been so good. To go down Division III, I don't know that there's necessarily one player. At maybe Jake Parker.
Yeah.
Jake Parker at times, but he's kind of been double and triple teamed here the last few weeks.
The Stephen F. Austin wide receiver, who
Xavier Gibson.
Xavier Gibson has been incredible.
Xavier Gibson is he's a highlight reel every single week. He is going to put up big numbers. And another one, Jordan Barlow at Sagu.
Yeah.
He is just throwing that ball everywhere, and he's got a running back that's also, I mean, they put up numbers that's incredible. Keaton Dudek is just insane there at Sagu.
He's Cory Hogue. He's our small college insider here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Find his fine work at texasfootball.com. Cory, appreciate you stopping by, man, talking a little small college football.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to have to come back. Playoffs are starting here within 1 to 3 weeks, depending on your level.
You know where we live.
I do. I'll find you.
There he is, Cory Hogue, our buddy. Small college insider here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football, talking all things small college football. You can find his fine work at texasfootball.com/recruiting. Some of our best content is the small college stuff. I think that's
it's completely unique.
All of our staff. I love all of our staff members and all of our contributors equally. You're all wonderful. But I think that, like, if you're one of the things that I'm pretty proud of in the last few years is I think that we've kind of become one of the few places where you can get quality coverage of small college football in Texas, and that's something I'm proud of, and Cory's a huge, massive part of that, and so if you like that kind of stuff, texasfootball.com, go there and
real fast, shout out to Mrs. Hogue because she brought baked goods.
Do you have any of it?
Not yet. No,
Not yet.
that was on the agenda for after lunch today.
She's Alicia, her baking is
Be careful.
You know what? You know who's going to be mad at me when I say this?
Be
Is
careful.
Max Thompson.
Oh,
Okay.
snacks.
She's the best baker I know.
Ooh, okay.
She's better than Max.
I also just love that, like, you were most worried about Max and not, like,
Well, I
your
was trying to-
mother-in-law or something. You know, that's just,
my mother,
you know,
my
grandma.
My mother-in-law and my mom and are solid bakers and stuff like that. This is next level.
Yeah.
When you have that, it'll be great. Anyway, let's do one more thing, Miss Pickle. Dave Campbell's Texas Football has teamed up with Parker University to honor great decisions throughout the course of the Texas high school football season with the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Game-Winning Decision of the Week presented by Parker University Sports and Performance Center. This week, Prosper junior wide receiver Hunter Summers showed out in their win over Allen with 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. His score late in the fourth quarter ended up being the nail in the coffin as the Eagles took down Allen, ending their 72-game district winning streak. Congratulations to Prosper junior wide receiver Hunter Summers, this week's Parker University Game-Winning Decision of the Week. Parker University Sports and Performance Center and Synapse Human Performance Centers treat athletic injuries and provide sports rehabilitation to help get athletes competing as fast as possible. Learn more at synapsehpc.com. That's synapsehpc.com.
That the helmets could count as a game-winning decision too, because
Yeah.
those helmets are sweet.
Very choice.
That's clean.
Congratulations to Hunter Summers of Prosper. Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts.
A couple of things here. One, Matt Stepp had a great idea. We should have a bake-off, the DCTF bake-off. I feel like that would be fun.
Do you watch British Baking Show?
I don't. I know you love it though.
I do. British Baking Show is excellent. It's good. It is very relaxing. It is a low engagement show.
Do they cook desserts like we're familiar with, or do they have a different? Okay.
Do you feel
It is
like
all crap that I don't understand, but it's very relaxing.
is
and
that
it's-
like one of those shows? Like I know a lot of people who watch Grey's Anatomy. They felt like, oh yeah, I could be a doctor after this because I know. Like, is that one of those things that you
No.
watch that show and go, I feel like I can bake?
I'm
you
sure
know?
there are some people who feel that way. That person ain't me.
Whenever he said relaxing, I thought this is the show he puts on when he wants to go to sleep.
No. No.
Just kind of let your mind.
It is. It's
wander,
very.
like,
it is very. It's low impact. It is
stressful
not
day.
it's-
You're gonna
yeah.
go watch
like,
it.
do you ever watch? Okay, like I know you're a big Breaking Bad guy, right?
Yep.
Breaking Bad is a stressful watch.
Yes.
Like whenever you're
You
watching
have to be
it,
locked
it's stressful.
in.
You gotta be locked in. You gotta be paying attention. This is a non-stressful. It's a stress-free watch. It's like these are just people baking. I'm watching people, and there's the normal kind of reality show drama of like, oh no, that pie's got a soggy bottom or something like that. But like, that's just the reality.
See, I do. Go ahead.
I throw in Pawn Stars. You know,
Okay.
Pawn Stars is
Yeah,
like
see-
an easy watch for me, but I can tell you, I'm going to make it 15 to 45 minutes, and I will be out.
Oh.
Out. It's NyQuil for you.
See,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
mine's like, and I think my wife, your wife.
I was gonna say, do you have some breaking news for us?
No, but I think that we're on the same page about this. I like real estate or like interior designer shows. Like
Yeah.
instead of the food aspect, I like going like $1 million beach house shows, and I'm like, oh man. And then I guess I drift off into like dream world of that could be me, except it's not.
Yeah.
because I work in sports.
I made some point. I made some point about House Hunters International at one point. House Hunters International is like my favorite horror movie. It really is, because it's like people are like, we're an unemployed newlywed couple in their 50s
And
moving to Fiji, and our budget
is $1.2 million.
yeah, and I'm like, oh my god, you people, what are you doing? A horticulturalist and a freelance writer with a budget of $1.7 million. It's like, I don't know. Anyway,
the other thing, but we got off on a long tangent there. The other thing is everyone, including myself, in trying to like y'all's comments, is having big struggle on Facebook, being told that it's below community standards and all that stuff. If you want
first
to,
of all, guys, I've thought your comments are below community standards for years. Facebook's just catching up.
so now that the metaverse is
Yeah.
there, I just want to let y'all know I will do my part to really start honing in on the YouTube comments. If
Yeah.
we just kind of want to start migrating that way, the stream's better, like everything.
We're
that
still
we kinda
gonna
like.
we're still gonna broadcast on Facebook. But if for now, if you want to comment, like for example, Friday, Mailbag Friday. If you have questions, let's migrate over to migrate over to YouTube.
Yeah,
for now.
I'll do my part to
Yeah.
really start reading with that and interacting
Twitch,
on
too.
YouTube. So yeah, Twitch or YouTube, but yeah, to kind of let them solve this issue, feel free to head on over there. I'll start picking up the slack there.
You know what? You and I, Pickle, we've been on the front line. Like, everyone's just now catching up to the fact that Mark Zuckerberg's a butthead.
Yeah, I'm
You and I were-
100% convinced that this, like, he hacked my email.
You and I
too.
were early adopters
Yeah.
on hating Mark Zuckerberg.
The war on Zuck continues into the metaverse now
That's right,
too.
He
yeah.
knows that you're now talking against him on his platform right now.
Exactly.
Oh,
They're gonna flag this comment as below
Well,
community
yeah,
standards.
he already hacked my email. Somehow the transitive property of him doing this, like,
It's gonna do it for us. Can we get a gif of that? You going?
old man yells at cloud moment.
That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook. Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram. Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Thanks to Cory Hogue for being our guest. Powers, thanks for coming in, dude.
Oh, you're welcome. Can we do it again next week?
Would you like to do it again next week?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Ye-
Pickle, can we do it again next week?
I'm down. I'm here.
Okay. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please get your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow on Texas Football Today.